This is Canon's latest cinema camera, and it is an absolute beaut of a camera. Really, really nice, really sophisticated, and really compact. So it's tradition around here to kind of give you guys a walkthrough and take a look at the dials, the buttons, and all the little features of the actual body of each camera. So we're going to do that today with the Canon EOS C50. But let's dive in. We'll see straight away we've got a nice solid grip here. This is a great size grip. If you take a look at this from this angle, I've got quite fairly large hands, as I seem to get told on this channel quite often, and it works really nicely. It sets really nicely in there. It's quite rounded and it feels nice to hold. To the side of that here, we can see we've got some ventilation fan systems there. And we're also seeing all these numbered buttons. We've got a 12, we've got a 13, and all these I think are referring to the custom buttons that you can set up for this particular camera. Now if you take a look at the front of the camera here, we can see that we have our RF lens cap there, which we can take off to reveal a large full frame sensor inside. And we've got our nice cinema logo there, and we've got a tally light to the front. It also looks like we've got another light there for the AF and everything like that. If we lean forwards, we can see that we have a toggle switch on the dial here. Just grab focus for you. You can see there that we have, for powered zooms, the button there. We've got our red record button, and we've got the 11 there, which carries on, I believe, for custom buttons. Right then, let's move on to the side. Now, as you can see here on the side of the camera, we can start off with a mount system that we have here, so we can start to cage this camera up if we need to. Being a cinema camera, it's quite smart to do so. We have some more ventilation systems here, obviously, to extract some of that heat that it may develop. And then we've got our mic, headphones, remote, HDMI, and USB sockets there. So let's just open those doors and see how they feel. They are like a rubberized, thin rubberized door there. And this is the ports. And there you have it. Full-size HDMI, really nice fiddly doors. And then we'll see to the top right here, we have our time code source. So all very, very professional. And these do slot back easily back into their positions. Sometimes some cameras are a bit fiddly when it comes to that. Moving around here, we can see we've got a hinge for our LCD screen there, or a monitor. And this is where the camera gets a bit more chunky towards the back here. So let's just take a look at that monitor. Swings out, we've got our full articulation screen. So if you do want to film yourself, you can do that. You can get all the angles you need. You can go back and protect itself. You can swing around and you can view that from the back. Just what we've become accustomed to these days. You'll notice again, I believe this is where the speaker system is there, so you can hear back the playback of all your audio. And you can see it's quite a large one there, so the playback might be really loud on this, which is great. It's always nice to be able to hear what you just recorded out in the field, even if it is just some scratch audio. And we've got some more ventilation down here, so I don't think overheating will be a problem with this particular camera. We can see here we have some more buttons. Here we have a 14. Also it says color there. I'm guessing that's where your white balance backs up as well. A lot of these buttons are going to coincide with each other because this is a camera that can do two things together. It can do photography and it can do, obviously, high-end video work. Got our menu button there. And if we just move to the top, we can see now we've got our logo here saying the EOS C50. Okay, so we have our off in the middle, we've got our video to the right, and our photo to the left. You may notice that the video is actually a slightly whiter logo on there, and the photo is slightly more grayed out. I think that's just emphasizing particularly what the main purpose of this camera is. You'll see there's more mounts here to mount up cages. I believe we've got some microphone slots here, but also a big chunky cold shoot kind of mount there with some connectors for data transfer if we need to. And that's going to allow us to attach the handle, which we'll talk about in a moment. I do notice there's a section here just where we've got like another tally light, which has a screw to it, and it looks like there's a section that may come out. This may be some sort of customized feature within the future, so that'd be nice to look out for. Let's just move our profile this way so you can see how thick this screen actually comes out of the camera. Now, one thing to bear in mind, this particular camera is the most compact and lightweight cinema camera that Canon have done to date. It's smaller than the R5C. It's a bit more flush. It's a bit more reminiscent to the FX series from Sony. It's really, really nice and really well built. It feels a lot smaller than the C70. It's a really nice camera to hold. But anyway, let's move on. So off to the side here, we've got our mode dial. And we can see there we've got mode and a 6 button in between it. Toggle wheel. So our record button there is a secondary, I believe. We've got some more customized buttons. We've got lock, peaking, and then WFM, which I believe is referring to waveform. More dials. Got our toggle wheel, as we discussed earlier, and our customized 11 button there, our function button. Move it over to the back of the camera. Here we can see we have more dials. Something's a bit more familiar to Canon users. We have a joystick here. We have a 1 button, a 2, a 3, a 4. There's a lot of customization that looks like you can do with this particular camera. A media button down the bottom there. All the things we're normally used to. We notice here we've got auto iris as well, and another customized button there. The doorway here, this is where our memory cards we kept. Let's see what memory cards we can put into this. As you can see, we've got a big chunky, looks like a CF Express card there. Looks like a Type B. And then we have SD to the right of that. So some great card choices for this, and they're very modern in the choice. Door closes like so. We'll see here that we do have particular different lights for each memory card type, which is quite new actually for these kind of cameras. I've not seen one that just does one specifically for CF Express and one for SD, so that's encouraging. If you've got a camera, or sorry, a memory card that might be bugging out just a little bit, at least you can kind of see which one's overly buffering more than the other. So that's quite a nice thing to have. And once again, we've got some more ports here for rigging this camera up, which is probably what's going to happen a lot of the time, because this body is a very it's a well built body, but it is a plastic kind of composite on there. So bearing in mind, rigging this will keep it a bit more safe. And as we come down to the bottom here, we can see what type of battery it takes. Got our doorway there, and then when it pops out, we've got our very typical for Canon nowadays, an LPE6P battery. Very nice, strong and powerful. There we are. Okay. And that's pretty much the Canon EOS C50 cinema camera body. Really nice. Now, when you do buy this particular camera, I believe you get the top handle with it. And this is the top handle. You can see there, it transfers all the data on the bottom, which is really incredible, quite smart. We've also got these locking spring pins here, that will then go into the top of the camera, into the rigging holes. And then we've got 2 XLR ports here, which is allowing us to put in high-end professional microphones. The build quality of this handle is exactly the same as the camera body, so it feels flush and similar to that. We've got our record buttons at the top. We've got our toggle for zoom. We've got another cold shoe there, which is obviously more accessories. We've got the section here for a shotgun microphone, and then on the other side, we have all the handle dials and details. So we've got our line in there. We've got our inputs, input 1 and 2, and then we've got our controls for how much volume and gain we want to set for our microphone. So it's really nice that they include this, and it's a really nice package once it's put together. So let's pop that on, just so you guys can kind of see that. Oh, sorry, slides on first, sorry. That would make sense. There we go. And now we can screw down each section. So we can pop the spring down on that one. Find that hole. That's locked in nicely. And then we can use our top handle, like so. We're going to take a look at the menu system, because this camera can completely have two different menu systems to it. It will have a photo and a video. So let's just go through the settings just to see how they differ if you are a photo user and just kind of wondering what you get when you switch over to video. How different is it to what your camera is currently doing? Let's take a look. So now we have the back of this screen. Now, if you're a Canon user, this is going to be fairly simple or fairly familiar to yourselves here. We can see that we've got two sections there, two L's, which is going to be the image quality, and that's obviously referring to the fact that there's two memory card slots within inside this camera. If I hit the display button, as you know, we start to get more information. You can see there we've got our gyroscope going on, and then we've also got a waveform there, or a histogram, sorry, and the battery details on the screen here. Go back there to a minimal screen, and once again back to the standard one. So let's go into the menu, see if there's anything different here. Let's scroll all the way back. How do we do now on this one? Oops, gone too far. So as you can see, it's fairly minimal. You got your image quality size there, which we can click into, see what we can do. That's inside our image there. We've got RAW, and all these are different sizes. That's our JPEG sizes down beneath. And if we scroll up the top, we have our RAW, and then we have our C-RAW. And you'll see it's got 32M on there, which is referring to the 32 megapixels that this camera is. So let's head back on out of this one. We've got our drive modes we can control. And these are the menus. I'm going to be quiet and just go through the menus for you now, so you can kind of take a look yourself without me distracting you. I apologize. Let's have a look through here. Okay, and now we're back to the standard start of the menu. You can see there it's not as in-depth as many other Canon photo cameras, but this obviously is not the main purpose for this particular camera. It seems the same, it's the same kind of language, it's just a little bit more, say, watered down or not as sophisticated as some of the other cameras when it comes to that. So let's switch it off and then move over to video, and let's see how fast that switches over. So off, onto video. We see it's loading up there, and it's loading a completely different operating system now. You'll see the font size has actually changed quite a bit, so I might have to zoom in for you guys, just so you got that, and hopefully you can see it. There's a lot going on the screen here now. So we're seeing all of our information here. We've got C709, BT709, these are color spaces. We're telling our fan information down there. At the bottom corner here, we've got our white balance, our ISO, our shutter angle, which is brilliant to have on a camera like this. And as you can see here, the audio, as I'm talking, the bars are going up, and it's not just a stereo signal you can see there, it's kind of like a dual stereo signal. And then we've got all our information at the right here to show what resolution we're at, how much longer is left on the battery, our time code, and our frames per second, as well as our codecs that we're using. Now if I press display on this, we'll see how much it changes. I do apologize, it is a little bit dull. I think once you move over to video, because the icons are smaller, it gives this appearance of it being a more duller screen, but it's not. It's just so you can see more of the screen, because obviously you're relying on it for detail. So as we go through the menu there, the display menu, you can see how much more information it supplies or takes away. Let's head into the menu and see how that looks a bit different. I think the brightness is a bit down on this one. So I think independently you can change the brightness. Let's see if we can head on over there first before we go through all the menus. It's going to be in the cogwheel, I'm guessing. There's a lot in this camera now when it comes to the video side. Probably gone through already. Let me try and find this and I'll be right back. I noticed in the settings here there was a section that said luminance boost on the LCD screen, so that's what we've done here to make it a bit easy for you guys to see what's going on. Alright, so let's continue through the menu system. Let's try and start back from the start again. So let's go right to the top, if we can, and then head all the way back to the start. Now there is a lot to go through for this one, so maybe pause the video, get a cup of tea on the go, and let's dive in. So first things first, let's go through all the camera settings here. Okay, so while we're here, let's take a look at some of the different codecs that we can shoot with. So we head on back over to, that's our camera mode. This is Canon 709 for our picture profile there. I wonder if we can select in these and just see what ones they have. So as you can see, we've got Canon 709. A log 2, log 3, BT 709, a standard, wide dynamic range, PQ, HLG, EOS standard, neutral, and then we've got some customized. Looks like we can drop some cube files in there by the looks of it. And then if we move on to the next section, oops. Okay, so let's try and move across here. So we can select inside the camera what kind of framing we want. We can have full frame, Super 35, Super 16. It's nice to have the choice. Let's go back there. And here we can see our recording formats. And there's a whole bunch of different ones. We've got RAW HQ, RAW ST, RAW LT, and then we've got all the different variations here that we can run through. Amazing options. Destination, which card we want it to be. And then we've got our resolutions, which you can see go all the way to 4K DCI. And they go down to 1080p, being the lowest there. And frame rates, they will change. We've obviously got bit rates, they will change depending on what recipes we provide. So hopefully you could see exactly what's going on with the menus, or as much as possible, and I hope it kind of helped you if you were kind of looking into this camera and just wondering how it kind of looks behind the scenes. Hope this helped, and we'll catch you in the next one.